Mhm.
Hello, everybody. This is James, the Bone Discoverer, dedicated to original peoples. As always, we've got two special guests on. They've been on before, they're back on again. Auntie Carol and Uncle Errol. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, and yourself?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. And as you know, Errol is a bishop, and also Carol is a pastor. So that's
Yeah.
important. And there's a whole lot more with the backgrounds as well.
Mhm.
So. Great feedback anyway, I want to say. Thank you for coming on last time. And people are very interested in the backgrounds, the stories, and also Carol explaining about living in Louisiana and yourself coming from Tobago.
Mhm.
So if we go to the earliest times, we're going to start from your earliest times, what you can remember.
All right.
And so let's go from like when you, Uncle Edel, you started off in Tobago, you're born, isn't it?
Yes, I was born in Tobago.
Now, with Tobago, one thing I want to ask, because as I've been to Tobago, the
Mhm.
Tobago I went to, which was in 2018,
Mhm.
is is that nothing like the Tobago when you were growing up?
It's different. It's totally different now. It's
Okay,
totally
okay,
different.
yeah,
Okay. When I was growing up in Tobago, it had a lot of different things as it than now, because one of the things is we have better roads. Before, the roads was much narrower.
yeah,
Uh, the people were more lovelier and caring for others.
yeah.
We had the beaches that we could have gone all over Tobago. They couldn't stop us. But after where you all were, like in Pigeon Point and things like that, you had to
Hmm.
have a car to go in. Um, and we used to walk from Mount Grace to Plymouth. We used to walk from Mount Grace to Sherwin. We used to walk from Mount Grace to Scarborough. But that wasn't that far. But now we have to drive because of the roads. They changed the roads and everything. So now we have to go around and all that stuff. But it was always nice. Tobago was always wonderful. And me, when I grew up there, was during the time of colonialism. I born in the 50s, 1952,
Hmm.
and at that point we were ruled under the British government. We were ruled under the British government, and by the time I was about 11 years old. That's when we became independent. But all that period before that, it was totally different. I'll share, what I remember as a child, going from my grandfather, my mother, your great grandfather, Theophilus. They were the ones that had a hard time. In other words, they used to work for they used to get paid bi-weekly, not weekly. So what went on was they would hold your money over a whole week before you could have gotten paid. They call it bi-weekly. And you didn't have much money to work with. So you had to go to the man and trust, get food on trust. And when you go get food on trust, these people used to have a book and they write down all the things that you're asking for. But I know a lot of people got robbed because most of them couldn't read, they couldn't count.
Yeah.
Not like my grandfather. My dad knew because my grandfather was the mailman. He worked for the postal service for King George V. And during that time, they were writing stuff in the books. So when you go to pay, you say, "Well, wait a minute, I didn't trust all this amount of food, right?" But you can't make a fuss because they didn't give you a receipt. All they're doing writing down on the books what you asked for. So it was kind of rough in those days. So we became more and more wise, especially with my grandfather, Nathaniel Abdul McNeil, and that was my mother's dad. And what happened with him, he said, well, he knew that a lot of people were getting robbed. So he told them, look, instead of us going to this guy to buy the food, we could buy our food wholesale and split it around us, among us. And then at the end of the month or whatever profit they made, they will split it between the people as a saving, right?
Hmm.
And from that saving, out of that came what they have a cooperative. And the cooperative is in functioning right now. We call it Harmony Hall. And Harmony Hall is just the village outside Mount Grace, which is next to Mount Grace. So that whole community there was a togetherness in every way, because now you have to remember, now there was a lot of people who never been to school, who couldn't read and write. Even the guy that was selling, he couldn't weigh. He knew nothing about weight. So he had two things, two calabash, two gourds, and he'll fill it up. He said, well, this is 2 pounds, and he put it in a bag, right? So these are things, that is what his wife did. But growing up in Mount Grace was wonderful. And I went to school in Wim, which is the next village over, which was close to where you all were in Plymouth and Buku. And then I went to Scarborough to school. And I grew up, it was wonderful. And anything else you want to find out about that?
Yeah, well, we make sure we're just going to go round, and I'm going to bring Carol in now, and you can tell me something about in Louisiana, some of your earliest times, your earliest memories.
Well, I grew up in Shreveport with a great-great-grandmother.
Great-great-grandmother.
Great-great-grandmother. My mother's grandmother raised me.
Okay, yeah.
She was like 63, I think, when she got me, 60-something, close to that. And she was Choctaw Indian, like I said. Okay. And she really knew the things of the earth. I watched her plant trees and, grow different foods and everything. And during that time, it was a really difficult time for being Black in an area where they kept slaves. They were just beginning to get away from slavery, but still a lot of the hatred, and most of all the Ku Klux Klan was raving and ranting all over the place with their hoods and stuff. So I could walk out with my great grandmother. We could go places, but the theaters, you had to go in the back door. You couldn't drink in any white fountains, and they were right next to each other. One said color, and the other said Negro. Wow. Never said Black, it said Negro. Didn't say none that you knew. But she would walk me even to the fountains and stand there for me to drink so nobody would mess with me. She owned a restaurant, and she cooked American and some Spanish dishes. And I guess at some point, from what I heard, and there wasn't a lot, that she had like a nightclub or something at one time. I'm not sure about that because, in that time, old people kept certain things hush hush. Her thing was children were seen and not heard. So if you heard it, you better be quiet and don't say nothing.
Yeah.
Don't get what you knew. But I had a great uncle that lived in Fort Worth, Texas, that would travel from Texas to where we live. And somehow in all of that, as he was traveling on the bus, they took him out. They ended up lynching him, hanging him.
Wow.
And I heard a lot. We saw crosses burned on front yards, but they always kept you real close to them. You couldn't just, like children now, they'll walk off and be away from you. You couldn't do none of that. But they made sure it was always a conversation at home, how you were supposed to go out, how you handle yourself, not be out there alone. And again, my great uncle was a pullman porter. So he drove the trains, and I got a chance to see all of that and participate in that. Our uncle that was a plumber, and he was always under the house, which I thought he was my dad, but he was my great uncle. Wow. So I went everywhere with him, and he was an ex-Army MP, military police in the Army. So everywhere he'd go, he'd take me because I was the only child in the house. And I called him up, Claude, and I heard all kinds of conversations and saw people move and act different kinds of ways. But my great uncle ended up going to jail because one of them men walked up to him, messing with him. And his temper got the best of him, and he handled it. But they put him in San Quentin for that because he took a brick and hit a guy because the guy put hands on him. Yeah. And from what I understand, if my memory serves me well, I was there some kind of way. But he did his time. They let him out because they found out it was self-defense.
Yeah. Wow.
So we lived through that, and rationing food whenever. Now people don't think electricity is such a gift.
Mhm.
I don't do a lot of talking about it, especially now. Just to pay the light bill and have gas because we had outside gas meters. And to live through that, whenever something got cut off, my great grandmother was such a survivor. She would take like cinder blocks and put them in the house and put a bucket on it and build it like it was a fire. And she would cook right in the house on this thing where everybody could eat.
Wow.
So the food was, very ration and limited, but everybody ate.
Wow.
So you didn't walk, because white people there, Bishop read up about it and laugh all the time. They had something called a laughing barrel. And what the laughing barrel was, when you walk on the sidewalks and stuff, you had to get off if one of them came along. You couldn't stay on that same sidewalk with them. If you wanted to laugh at something, you had to go take your head and stick it in the barrel just to laugh.
Wow, that's very serious.
It's a lot of things that was done and happened that the children now have no information, no understanding whatsoever. In the South, they will laugh at you and just quick cut your throat. Here, they give you these plastic smiles.
Wow.
And then they go on. But you have to know, Bishop always say, know your audience when you go out to preach. But you have to know who you're around in the audience when you walk in the street now. Because everybody that's grinning at you don't mean you well.
Yeah, definitely.
Not promoting hostility and bitterness, but it's there.
Yeah. I mean, are we talking about from our own people, or are we just talking about like from the white racist? Was the
white racist, the mixture, because there's a lot of American Indian around, as well as East Indians and people from this state, this country have people from all over the world. It's a vast mixture, but it's very separated. Very segregated in different areas, separate and away from each other. Sometimes you encounter them in the workplace. If you've ever worked corporate life, you meet some of everybody. It's a melting pot like you wouldn't believe. And everybody bring their own culture, their own bitterness, their own hatred, all together. And if you're any kind of a person that watch around you, you can see it, you can feel it, you can know the minute you walk into a room that the atmosphere changed.
Yeah. Wow.
Here you can walk in a supermarket or in a store shopping. They have what they call shoppers that they pay to walk around in the stores to watch you to see if you're stealing something. And if you have any kind of intuition or any kind of thing about you to pay attention to your surroundings, you can see them the minute you're in the store. You know who's who because they.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting. And there's more for this to come as we'll be building up. Come to you now, Uncle Errol. Right. So you were saying before about the British. Was there a lot of British people in Tobago these times?
Yeah, of course they did.
And were they problematic for you?
Somewhat. You had your place. You had to be in your place. You couldn't. They teach you what they call manners. They teach that according to the same. They wanted you to carry yourself in a manner that is pleasing, not just to the immediate family, but entire community. But they did us wrong in many ways. In many ways, and I could talk about that because growing up, I have a mark on my skin right now, on my arm, and what it is like a burn. You get a burn on them. All the people from the Caribbean, right? It's somewhere right in here. Every person from the Caribbean, what they did, they put a mark on you. So no matter where you go, and they look at you, they know that you're from the Caribbean. That's something that they did in other parts of Africa. They brand them and things like. But that was like our brand. And what they said about this, that was you're going to get a shot for malaria and things of that nature. And it's the biggest lie. Like my children don't have that. You know what I mean? So if you're born before 1962, you'll see that on your arm. So anytime you meet a person from the Caribbean, like Trinidad or Tobago, and you just look on the arm, you'll see a little round dot right here. It's a big old spot like this on your arm. So you kind of mark you. So these are things that they did. Beside that is, even when I was going to trade school, I couldn't get a full pay until I spent 5 years apprenticeship. And the 5 years apprenticeship, in essence, that was, I believe, was for the crown. In order then, because I came out at that time, I had to now paying back. You know what I mean? Because we were not independent as yet. Like my brothers and they didn't have a name per se. They had boy, girl, and that was it. This is what the British did to us. So by the time you get to like 10, 11 to go to school, you had to go now and like register. You register him so that you have a surname, right? You have an affidavit in order to have your name on another piece of paper beside your birth paper. You know? So all these things that they did to us. But beside that, I learned how to maneuver, because the community that I belonged to, you know, it was caring for each other. And I grew up where you have all nations of people. Your great-grandfather was an Indian, right? He came from Guyana, right? My grandfather came from Trinidad, my mother from Trinidad. But my great-great-grandfather, they were slaves in a place called Providence, which is right outside Mount Grace. And they had that whole Providence estate. And it's documented. You can go and look it up. They call it Norman McNeil. And he started a school, they started a church, although he was a slave, but he had that. He could read and write. Your great-grandfather, Theophilus, now what he did, the majority of the bridges and the lighthouse in Tobago, he did all of those things. He did a lot of steel work. He even worked with Walt Disney. When they was filming the Swiss Family Robinson, he did a lot of the construction things because he was a steelman, and he coming from Guyana. So things like that. There's a lot of history within the family. My grandfather was a mailman for King George V, you know, and my grandfather didn't get paid until he was about 65 years old, you know, because he came out of a, you know, slave thing, but he could have read. He was a carpenter, a shoemaker, a jeweler, right, and a mailman. He was all of that. So he done all of these things, and so it's a lot of things that I know about. And we born in Mount Grace. I was born in Mount Grace. The house still stands there today. My grandfather bought a lot of property in Mount Grace, a place called the Flats, and where Errol is out there. That's where I born and grew. And I don't know if you remember when you went to Tobago, did you go by Errol?
Yeah.
You see that a big red mailbox in front of the house? That's the mailbox from the post office, because the post office was in the house there.
Right. So we went by his house. We didn't actually go in. We went by his house, and we went by
Errol in Flats. My son, right?
Alvin,
yes. So went by Alvin. So where Alvin is there, right?
Yeah.
When you look across, that whole property come all the way around. That was my grandfather. So the property in front, before you go down to Alvin, that piece of property there is mine. That whole piece of property there is mine. The other side is my sister, and behind is Erlene and Russell. And the other side, my grandfather owned that whole piece of property there.
Wow. Unbelievable. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Just before, in case this link goes off in a minute, probably I think we've got about a couple of minutes on. Just want to say before the link goes off, and then you'll come to Carol. So listen to your stories is very interesting, and you have to be strong to get through these times, you know what I'm saying? And obviously, like Carol was saying, in Louisiana, witnessing lynchings, and then even the fact of you can't drink from the same water fountain. Probably entered in certain bars and certain restaurants, and and then even when she said you can't be alone. Now, there's probably people who were alone. There's always, you always, for whatever reason, there's always people who will end up alone for whatever reason. And of course, they will be completely a victim, even though there's a warning, but there's probably various reasons why maybe someone was working and they had to get home by themselves or they couldn't get a lift. And, there's probably 100 reasons why, so um, if I can come to you, Carol, now, if the link goes up, we just log straight back on. And
Okay.
so some of the people, like you said, people can't be alone. Now, I'm assuming that there would be times where people would be alone.
Yeah, they had to be, and when they were alone, it was always danger. People come up missing, and if you don't not with a big family member, they come up missing, and no one know people is even gone. Right now, they're doing trafficking unbelievably, and it's a lot of blacks. There's more blacks than anyone else.
Yeah, still to this day.
Yeah, they harvesting organs and all kind of stuff now.
Yeah.
A lot of people sit around in the dark and think the Bible says in peace, think you're in peace and safety, and then it's sudden destruction. You don't know what's gonna happen. Like people here with green cards and some that don't have it that came illegal. With this man we have now, they just throwing them out the country, anywhere and everywhere. So
got that ice group that capturing people.
You color your skin, and Bishop, and he even talks about nationals in the country. They've taken some of them up out the country.
I can imagine. I can imagine just based on the color of us, So when you was at what point did you leave Louisiana? Did you come straight to Boston?
Yeah, I had been out the country. I'd been to Mexico and other places, but I came here. I was married before. My two daughters and myself and their dad, it wasn't working because the way I had grew up. My great grandmother was a strong woman. She was an entrepreneur. She made her way and was able to, and she taught me a lot. Her and my great uncle. We had to learn as children how to survive. So they taught us how to move and live and all this. Since Bishop and I have been together, I've taken him around. We've gone places and explained to him. The minute they tell you you can't go somewhere, that's the main time you need to go and see what's happening.
Yeah.
You need to present yourself whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
Because that's how people get killed, because they walk around and figure, it's okay. But in the South, moving around to working, I did hotel work for a while. And people come, they're separated from their families. And I've seen people walk in a hotel room and somebody land up there dead out of overdrugs and heart attacks and all kind of stuff. Because it's a lot of people that's just lonely. Indians that you wouldn't think none exist that much now because you don't see them around.
Yeah.
Other than knowing and to tell you how smart they are. Most of the casinos here, it's the Indian tribe that own it.
Yeah. Okay.
So you get to see them that way. They're here. And they travel from country to country by foot, a lot of them. Some in boats. They're here.
So see some of the indigenous people, the native. Yeah, so like I was saying, Carol, a lot of the indigenous peoples of North America, particularly down south where you were. Back in the day when you were younger, did you notice like a lot more of them? And another question is we get this thing on the internet a lot as well of somehow that a majority of the indigenous peoples were actually black peoples. I come from a perspective of because I understand there was different types of people, of course. Of course, you have the straight-haired indigenous person, of course, we see them on old video, old photographs. But we get a lot of people speaking about there was a lot of black people that originally were in North America before when Columbus came, and then obviously that's going back to 1492, of course. But then as we get to your time, do you remember seeing a lot of indigenous people, or would you say most of them were wiped out then, or?
When I would see them, and my great uncle and them would go to Oklahoma, and it was like a family trip. He had what was called one of the old Buick with suicide doors, because the doors open to each other.
Yeah.
And they would take everybody, and that's how I knew about box lunches. Because they
Right.
would fix these box lunches, would have cake and fried chicken and all this food. And we'd get in the car and go from here to Oklahoma. And that was more when you saw than when you didn't, because Black people came together like that during that time. And all kind of interesting conversations went on. It's interesting, as I've gotten older, I remember a little more than I did when I was younger. So they would come together and, it stopped like it wouldn't call it picnic. People talk about picnic. That's not good. That word picnic derived from the word pick a nigger.
Wow, picnic. Wow.
Yeah, don't use that word at all.
You don't use that
I
word.
can warn people about that one. Word picnic. Yeah.
You're doing an outing.
Pack lunch, say.
You got to be careful with the word outing because of the drug addicts now that smoke and free base and all that. When they're saying they having an outing, a cookout, they talking about free base.
Yeah, cookout, yeah.
All right, okay, yeah.
So
yeah,
you got
Cookout is not good.
The wording is very, very important.
Schooling us now. Yeah.
So
interesting.
Don't picnic.
Yeah.
And no cookout.
No cookout, no picnics.
Nope.
And then you get around Blacks that have, hung out and said all kind of things, and they drop it not understanding what they're really saying.
Yeah. So when you were saying you went to Oklahoma, would you say you've seen a lot more indigenous people in Oklahoma? Was it? And are they just living amongst themselves, or are these so desegregated, or you live around?
Yes, they're amongst themselves. People were very cautious of if they live together, like Blacks and Indians. A lot of them mixed, but people didn't know it and didn't speak on it.
Ah, right, okay. So what category would they put? Because I know they have categories. So what categories would they put as people who are Black and Indian mixed? How did they categorize it?
Oh, they just would. It wasn't a verbal of saying you Black, because saying you Black and I'm proud didn't start until around the 60s.
Right. Okay. Right. So it was just based on like.
And acknowledging the person, not who they are for his nationality goes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. We'll come back to that then. Yeah.
Yeah. All of this stuff of Blackness and who's Black and who's white and all that, it came as the thing that comes to mind, knowledge increasing as to who they were as a people.
Well, that's going to be interesting. We're definitely going to come back to that because we're moving into a certain timeline, and it's just nice to see the evolution of stemming from slavery in America, and as we're working our way up. Errol, now when you were in Tobago, did you ever go into mainland Trinidad at the time?
Of course, that's every holiday, Christmas. The only time we didn't go to Trinidad was most time like in Easter, but my grandparents, my grandmother was there, my aunt was there, my cousins. I had a lot of relatives in Trinidad,
right.
more than in Tobago. So I spent a lot of time in Trinidad also. And I used to leave Tobago and just get on the boat and go to Trinidad and spend 2 and 3 weeks, come back. But I know a lot, so Trinidad was always a place like home. You know what I mean? Just like home is like leaving this house and going across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Trinidad was always sing. And those days in Trinidad was the same togetherness. We lived, the relatives that I used to visit there, my aunt and my grandmother, they lived in what they call behind the bridge, Lavantil, High Hill, High Mountains, Lavant. So I lived behind the bridge, and why they call it behind the bridge? They had a canal that run all the way through Port of Spain. They called the Dry River, the East Dry River. So I lived East Dry River, and the western side was the city, the towns, all the big shops and things like that. So when you say living behind the bridge, they look at you as the scum of the earth, you know. But with my grandparents, my grandmother, and people like that, my grandmother was like a white woman, right? And so she dealt with the uppity. She used to say, I'm just walking around with the old skin. But she was very, very conscious about light skin and dark skin and things like that. And she was in a big circle. She would not go and buy food from somebody that she don't know, like in the market. She used to say, this is the person I buy my coals from. This is the person I buy my bananas from. And my great uncle was a butcher. So she said, this is who I get my meat from. This is the person I buy my fish from. So she wouldn't even buy coals, wood that burned coals. She wouldn't buy it from no one else. She had a specific people. And it was so deep, even the prime minister father and my grandmother was really, really tight. They were friends. And the majority of my relatives there, they were teachers, because it came all the way from my great-great-grandfather. What they had was a monitor. So you come, let's say about 12, 13 years old, you start working in the school, and then they have you as a monitor, and you go through that monitor setting, and then you become a teacher. So that's the majority of my relatives were teachers, and now they have teachers, they have doctors, they have lawyers. So that McNeil Wilson family, they were very, very uppity people, very, very uppity. And we couldn't hang out on the streets. We couldn't do a lot of stuff when I go to Trinidad. I couldn't do that. But if I in Tobago, I could go down the street and come back home. I couldn't do that in Trinidad, because behind the bridge is all kind of, they'll have fighting in the road and things like that. When they have carnival, you have to be careful, because people come with a machete and things like that, what we call a cutlass.
So it's always been quite violent. I mean, when I was in Tobago, people would tell me about mainland Trinidad, gangs, and a lot of, well, even people were trying to warn me, because I was actually going to go over to there by myself, because no one wanted to go. And I actually had a meeting with one of the indigenous Arawaks or Caribs. So I planned a trip where I'll get picked up from the boat. The taxi would take me to Arima River, or is that the right name?
Yeah, Arima, yes.
Arima, yeah. So I had the meeting set up with the chief. Supposed to do an hour meeting, and then it's only the fact that, obviously, because I was with my mother, family, so my father called them, said, "Oh, don't be leaving them. You can't just be going out there by yourself." And they were worried, thinking people were snatching from the taxi and those type of things and that. So this is like only 2018. So is it always been quite a violent place, like as far as you know?
Not really, not violent per se. When carnival is one thing, but like the people in Lavantil, right? Like you're from the hill, or you're behind the bridge. They move like a family. No one could have come from the outside to come in there to mess with somebody. Let's say they have a big, falling out with somebody outside the community. The whole community will come on. They'll defend you.
Yeah.
That is when I was growing up. But like carnival, you couldn't just go and jump in a band and things like that. When calypso. So they had a big rope. They used to block it out. They start doing it now again. And you couldn't go in under the rope unless you're part of the band. And if a band coming down the street and another one going up the street, and they will not move until they start fighting with each other. So that was, so this thing. But beside that, people from behind the bridge, like Laventille, John, Belmont, they were behind the bridge. They were over the dry river on the other side, East Dry River.
Did you ever meet any of the Arawaks or the Caribs? Well, actually, it'd be the Arawaks, wouldn't it, in Trinidad?
I
times.
No, I didn't really know a lot. They are still in Tobago. Tobago much closer. When you go to Arima, if when you go to Arima, you'll see some in Arima. You'll see some of them in Arima. And Sangre Grande, right? Sangre Grande, no water, things like that. So they have that type of people. They kind of pass like more like Venezuelans, because Venezuela is right there.
Yeah.
But they have them, but in Tobago you have a lot of Arawaks, and the Caribs, and you have that in Plymouth. And like Buku, where you were, you're supposed to see a lot of those in that area, But
I've seen a lot in Guyana. Well, you've got like quite a few percentage in Guyana. Like you said, close to like 10% of the population. I went down to meet the Amad Indians down, and we had to cross we got a speedboat across to the village, and seeing like it's about maybe 1,000, 2,000 in that actual community. And then obviously, if you go into the Amazon or you go into other areas, I'm sure you're going to see a lot more. But it's a bit different South America. You've got like the Amazon there, that it's a bit more a different environment. With Trinidad, an island, isn't it? Easy to be able to cover.
Yeah.
And then also a lot of the people they call East Indians as well. Now, I understand that is about 50-50, the population of the Indians and Afro-Trinidadians.
It have more
More Indians, more African.
No, more African Trinidad, because in Tobago, Indians couldn't come to Tobago, years gone by.
I didn't see any there. I didn't see any.
They couldn't. They couldn't, because that was one of the things, because they came in as indent servants, right?
Yeah.
So they were really bad from coming to Tobago, right?
Okay.
Yeah, they were kind of bad from coming to Tobago. But now we will see Indians coming to Tobago, and they're going on the beach and they're bathing and things like that. Before, when I was growing up, you couldn't see it. You didn't see that.
Wow.
But now, you see one or two here and there, but to see a big, movement, that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
Yeah, I've seen about maybe 2 or 3 people or something who were Indians, like in Tobago, which I was like quite surprised in that. Yeah. So
why were they barred?
Because they were indent servants, and so to have them where they were, in essence, they were barred from going to Tobago. Tobago is a unique place, Tobago is the last island in the Eastern Caribbean, right? The last island in the Eastern Caribbean. They call it the bone of contention, and this is why Trump and all of them went there now on the prettiest thing, because it's the gateway to the West Indies. Trinidad is South America. You see? Yeah. So it was totally different. Tobago is a whole different breed of people, And there's a breed slaves in Tobago too.
Yeah. So, with Trinidad, would you consider that as South America or the Caribbean?
No, that's South America.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at geography, and it said actually it's classed geographically as South America. But as the European decides on which, he doesn't know geography too well, so he'll like lump this place into this place and that, So yeah, I did look at the geography of Trinidad being a part of South America.
It is.
Did you another thing as well? The wildlife now. I wanted to ask you about some wildlife in Trinidad as well, because as we got like Guyana and that. You have these anacondas, these 20 to 25 feet snakes, some reach 30 feet, and that crocodiles.
Yeah.
Crocodiles and lizards and all stuff. Like, did you come across a lot of wildlife in your time?
You're in the Amazon jungle, brother. That's the Amazon jungle. When, like, this is August, like April, May, when the rain comes and the Amazon floods, snakes and fish and shrimp and all kind of wildlife comes out and they go to Trinidad because what you have, they have the Orinoco River, and that Orinoco River come all the way through Guyana and then flow right into Trinidad. So like it goes up and then come around, and all the water turns brown, very very brown. Right, that's when all these different species of fishes and shrimp and different wildlife comes up.
Is there a river that goes from South America to Trinidad, or is it the sea? Is it?
Say that again.
Did you say a river?
Orinoco River.
Okay, that goes into Trinidad.
Yeah, that flows into Trinidad. Yeah.
Wow, it through the sea.
Yes, right into the sea. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Amazon and go right through the Trinidad and comes around.
Wow.
Yeah, you can look it up when.
Well, I did see one time Tobago. I think I don't know if it was mainland Trinidad or Tobago. Seen maybe about several years ago. They were showing you floods, and there was crocodiles in there.
Uh-huh.
I was like, wow, that was unbelievable. You've seen crocodiles. I don't know if it was mainland or it was the Tobago, but I know you've got. Did you ever come across any of them snakes that were there? You got a lot of these anacondas there.
No, never saw it. Never saw those.
Yeah.
Never saw those. They stay in Guyana and they would.
We had them in the South, though.
Did you in anacondas or was it
no
other snakes? Did you come across many of them yourself?
Yeah, well, Louisiana. I did because we went out berry picking a lot.
Wow.
And Louisiana is a place that they grew cotton, but they also grew sugar cane. And the sugar cane brings snakes.
Yeah. Okay, so, attracted to the sugar cane?
Yes.
Wow.
And I saw them because as kids, we would go picking blackberries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And anytime you in those fields like that running, you will encounter snakes.
Many bites, many people got bitten?
No, not that I'm aware of. It probably was. We just didn't always hear about it. I got stung by scorpions because there was plenty of scorpions in the South too.
Wow.
And when they hit you, it's like lightning. They fire you right up.
And what's the effect? Is it like have they got poison in them? Scorpions? Yeah.
They do, but I don't know if this was a full-blown. I just was supposed to still be here.
They can kill you.
They could kill you, yeah.
Yes, they could.
Wow.
It fell out the ceiling in the night while I was in the bed.
Oh my God. Wow.
And it was wrapped up in that gown I had on.
Wow.
And me not knowing a lot, I'm definitely here because God saw fit to lead me here. I know that. Because that scorpion hit me.
Wow. Was you near countryside when you were in Louisiana, would you say?
When I got to what's called the Cooper Road, it was more country, but I grew up, was born in the city. Right behind the hospital, where they call it the Charity Hospital, because of course, all blacks went there.
I'm sorry.
Right.
And we lived in a house right behind that, because you could see the building like I'm looking from here to my window. You could see it. But, you show how safety-minded my great-grandmother was. She would let me play out in the yard, but she had a rope around me to make sure I didn't go any further than that yard.
Wow.
Because nobody wasn't coming in there. But see, I grew up in a house where there were pianos, all kinds of music always.
Yeah, okay.
And the children would come to the door because they could hear the music. I couldn't go out, but they could come in the front yard and the porch and listen at the music. Because we had a man living in the house that played piano.
All right.
So I got the experience of that. My great uncle, his wife, they ended up having 5 children after I was born. Okay. My mother, she ventured off to go all over the world because she traveled somewhere everywhere.
Okay.
And she was sure. Yeah, but my mother was light. She could pass for white, and she did.
Right. Okay.
So
Right.
carry me along as a child was an option because my skin color would definitely let her out.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Yeah.
she come see me where I was, and they always worked in. I grew up in a Jewish home.
Okay.
The people were Jewish,
Okay.
and that's how my mother named me Carol from that. And I grew up in the house with them, running around with their children, dressing. I'm surprised I don't remember the Yiddish that they spoke, but I was there, and I know it was Yiddish that they were speaking.
But the Jewish people at the time, were they going through racism in
In a sense, they were, but money kept everybody away from them because they had money.
Yeah.
Lots of money.
Yeah. I suppose like that's the status thing then, isn't it? You know. Yeah. So growing up, how would you compare when you lived in the village to living in the city? That's a big difference, isn't it?
A huge difference. I had never seen an outhouse to know what that meant.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, even today, don't even know what that is.
Yeah. Is that where your kitchen's outside?
No. The bathroom.
The bathroom's outside the outhouse. Okay. Okay.
That's just what that name fits it.
Right.
Everybody used to joke about, because during that time there wasn't toilet paper like everybody understands toilet paper now.
Right.
They had a magazine called the Sears and Roebuck book with a lot of pages. It kind of reminds you the material of the pages in a Sears and Roebuck. Now that I think about it, reminds you of a dollar bill. No, the kind of money that they make a dollar bill out of. The kind of weight. It's similar to that, but much softer, thinner.
Wow. Unbelievable.
I hadn't thought about that until.
They're wiping a bunch with money.
Look, think of the pages in the Bible. It's that similar.
Oh, it's like
wow.
Very, very thin.
Wow.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm learning something today.
Definitely. You know, and the interesting part you mentioned before about the 60s when the Black Power movement came in. So when prior to the 60s, what led this in? Was it down to a lot of the lynchings going on, or was it down to lack of jobs for Black people? What actually brought this movement in?
You know, I came up during the Martin Luther King era.
Ah, right, okay. Malcolm X and these times.
Malcolm X, that marching and riding, going into school, because we were at school. And they would come, whenever they come into town, everybody knew it because all of the people changed and act different. The marching that went on, because the teachers, a lot of them got drugged out of their classroom because of that.
Wow.
They put us out in the yards and stuff. It was a lot. I knew all about it, but to be hands-on picketing and walking, I wasn't allowed at all.
Wow. Yeah, interesting.
But I knew about it.
Wow.
Teachers, when they drug the teachers out and put them in jail, all of that.
Wow, unbelievable. Yeah, so that was totally changed during those times, and people were rising up more uprising.
Well, yeah, because remember now, what's her name, Parker?
Rosa Parks?
Yeah, Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
That was, riding the bus, women going to work, riding the bus. They end up driving them and some walking to keep them getting all caught up in that. A lot of vehicle that people had during that time, they transported people backwards and forth to their job to keep them safe.
Right. Okay, interesting. Yeah. So Errol, you come to yourself now. So how old was you when you first left Trinidad coming to the United States?
I was 32 years old.
Okay. So you spent most of your life in Tobago and basically into mainland Trinidad. You was going back and forth.
Yeah. And I lived in Canada for a little bit in the 70s.
Okay, how was that?
That changed my life. I came from trade school because I did trade. I'm a welder fabricator by trade. So I did that on the American Naval Base in Trinidad. And after leaving there, I went to Toronto to go to school because I wanted to be a civil engineer. And when I touched down in Moulton International Airport in Toronto, Canada, they detained me because they thought I was dodging the draft to go to Vietnam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they took my passport, they took my money, and every Monday morning I had to show up. It was a shock on my life, and this is why I keep my accent.
Right.
All right, this is why I keep my accent because I told them I just came from Trinidad, and they said, no, you living in Buffalo, New York, and blah blah blah. And they gave me a hard time. And when this as the war was about to think, I said, you know something, I going back to Trinidad. I went silent. I had no conversation with no one at all. I stayed by myself. It was a form of depression. And going through that thing, man, I was in Trinidad at that time. I know what it feels like not to eat. And I had relatives right there in the house. We had a huge house, and all the relatives. I never begged for nothing. And I think it was more pride of it, over everything else. I didn't beg people for nothing, jack people, none of that stuff. And in Port of Spain, you could have gone to the market and just lift up the bags and things, and you could have taken anything to eat. And I never did none of that. You know what I mean? So it was rough. And that time, that's in the 70s.
Yeah.
In the 70s, man, I'm telling you, when those soldiers start coming back, it was a lot of different. It was a different breed of people, and this is when Smokey Robinson, James Brown, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. Yeah. Before it had the Afro and all that stuff, and the person that were pushing a lot of that is Stokely Carmichael and Angela Davis. Those are people that I kind of love, and I get to meet her too. Carl Hapitia with Angela Davis and all. So we meet a lot of people for the college that she been in. And so we used to follow a lot of Black consciousness. And but I couldn't separate it because my grandfather was all African. Yeah. My grandmother was a white woman, you know what I mean? And I couldn't do that. My father was an Indian. You see, so that's the kind of thing. So when people making fun of different things, I couldn't. I have people that are Chinese and close relatives of Chinese, you know what I mean? And so I couldn't follow the crowd per se, you know what I mean? So we had to love everybody, and I, lived together, we played together, we eat together, they're my friends, you know what I mean? So that type of thing. So that kind of sheltered me in that sense. So prejudice coming to America, when I came, I couldn't imagine that. When people say, "Man, you go now," because I say, "How they see this place in the president?" I couldn't understand it, but as time go by, I start seeing it. And the first time I experienced it, I was working at this car dealership, and I was kind of running the place. And then they brought in this guy, and they gave him the job that I was supposed to get. And I told him, I said, "Nah, that's not fair." And I walked off of the job. I walked away. I said, so I was kind of radical in that sense. I didn't take nonsense. I didn't take things. I was very, very boisterous in that sense. I certainly, let me put it that way. And so I experienced that firsthand on that sense, to the point that I became, more conscious in many, many ways. Like this guy I was working for, and I was kind of doing a lot of work for the guy, white guy, wonderful man. And this other guy came in and he put the guy that I was working for, he put this guy above me again. So I tell the guy, I say, "I'm not working for him, I'm working for you," right? So when the guy come to give me orders, I say, "You can't talk to me, boy." You know what I mean? Yeah. I said, "You can't talk to me." And he say insubordination. I said, "What? Insa boho?" I said, "Let me tell you something. I'm your daddy. You hear what I tell you?" He wanted to fight me. I said, "You don't want to do that. I'm telling you. I said, brother, you don't want to do that." I said, "Because I'll kill the cat." I kill the chicken, I kill your grandmother. And I go, I said, you don't want to do that. You hear what I tell you, boy? Yes, I shut him down. But that's how I became that conscious, more conscious, because you're not going to talk down to me. I respect, and I tell them plain. I say, don't disrespect me.
Yeah.
I said, I never disrespect you. Don't do that. I shut down big project, and that's saying disrespect. I don't deal with disrespect. A thief, disrespect, and things like that. Man, is a whole different. Something happens in my head that's go up like smoke in the air.
Well, that's interesting that they tried to get you when you went to Canada. They tried to bring you, draft you into the Vietnam War.
Yes.
You know, I remember Muhammad Ali. They stripped him of his title. They wanted him to go to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, no, that's totally interesting. And a lot of people, like you just said, I was interested when you mentioned about those changes of those same people that came back from Vietnam. And was it a case of like a lot of people went a bit mad, would you say, or it just changed the character of a number of people?
There were a lot came back addicts.
Addicts, yeah,
They became
opium
addicts.
or
They became,
something.
even right now, you see the effects. Even
Yeah.
yeah, man. You see, all even in what they call this place in Iraq. Many of them come back. They're homeless people here in this country.
Wow.
Yeah, homeless. I tell you a lot of stuff. So it was not easy thing. Vietnam was terrible, and what helped a lot, because they came back saying peace and love, sex and drugs.
Yeah.
Right. That's what they did. Peace and love, sex and drugs, and out of that the hippies and the blacks and all nation come together, and you're smoking weed, and you're doing ice, all different kind of drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know nothing about, partake of it, but I knew at that time, because you walk along the street in Port of Spain, right? And you see junkies on the side of the road, and they're popping pills and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Marijuana wasn't as prevalent as now. They didn't sell it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They used to plant it, and the Indians, they used to use it for the prayers. And the first time I see weed, I was about 15 years old. I saw marijuana, but all that stuff, it wasn't as now. Now you walk down the street. I just came from down the street. A place stink of weed. They should ban that here, man. you gotta highlight that. Boom.
Yeah. These days, it's not even really as natural now, is it? It's all like chemicals and stuff, so it is that change a lot. Carol, so when you first left Louisiana, did you come straight to Boston, or did you go other parts of America? Was there?
I came here to Boston. My dad was here.
Oh, okay.
My biological dad lived in Massachusetts.
Right. Okay.
And I had 7 brothers here. My dad had 7 children.
Wow.
So 8, one girl and 7 boys.
Wow.
Beside you.
And beside me.
So comparing when you moved to Massachusetts, seeing all that racism that was down in the South, was there still a lot of racism in Boston, or not as bad?
It's here in Boston, but it's well dressed.
Yeah, presented a little bit better. Yeah. Not as blatant.
Yeah, in the South they call them rednecks, right?
Yeah.
And when you meet some of them, you're gonna know where they coming from, because they don't wear their prejudice very well.
Yeah.
In the South.
Yeah.
But here, you put on a 3-piece suit and dress up nice, and you more prejudiced than the one that's in the street looking like bomb.
Right, okay.
Because you don't want nobody to take what you figure is yours. The ownership is there.
Right, okay.
And they'll smile in your face just as quick as cut your throat. And when it came to Black women, the thing that makes it really, really bad, we've always had from slavery time, the Black man was a commodity for his strength.
Yeah.
The Black woman was the commodity for bearing the children and doing the housework. So if you tear down, they destroyed the family.
Yeah.
But the one that was holding the family together, whether he was in the
Woman.
house with him or not, was the black woman.
The
Yeah.
woman.
And here in this place, it's resented a lot.
Mm.
But what has happened to black male, because he has been made to be deceived like they do the Indian.
Yeah.
You throw a trinket up in front of them and they go at it. That's what they do with the Indian. With the black male, you give that they say is the forbidden fruit, the white woman.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And when they do that, you have already destroyed the family and the household just with that alone.
Yeah. Well,
So when that black man get with a white woman, he forget who birthed him in the world and what's going on.
exactly. Yeah.
So
That's why I make sure I got myself a black woman. You know? nothing better than a black woman. And in the place, the city I am, Liverpool, I would say at least 80%, say the people born here, about 80% are black people, all have kids to white women. And obviously the same with black women, at least 70% or something are with white men, you know.
Yes.
But that's why I feel like quite odd in this city, you know. But at the end of the day, it's all about being you. Don't fit in with the trends and the crowds, and you know, thinking that like you'll be accepted more, or your child will have a better life. Sometimes, you know, sometimes it's a psychological thing. You know what I mean? So, like I say, about being proud of who we am, and I give thanks to me parents for that. You know, so and like I say, I'm traveling also open my mind up, become more conscious, and then seeing that there's so many black people around the world. And not only that, there's so many oppressed black people. We all share the same struggle. It doesn't matter if you speak this language, that language, we're all going to be going through the same thing. And the colonizer has basically upset us all, you know. So that's why I highlight a lot of these indigenous black folks in places that people didn't expect them to be in. So, and I'll keep on promoting it, keep traveling, keep promoting it. And we're starting to see on the YouTube social media a bit more that people are starting to promote, highlight these things now. So make a lot of good use with social media. Some people make a lot of bad use with it, misuse, as we see all the time. But like, if people can raise awareness on this planet to show that like this is something that we're all going through, even the people out in India. I was watching a documentary today of a dark-skinned Indian woman. She was talking about over in India that because of the caste system, they all prefer fish. Yeah, so as you know, the caste system, like I was speaking about, in India, people like preferring the fairer skin. It's preferring the Bollywood. They have the lighter actors, and she was actually going round in London. It was to all different nationalities and speaking about, like she spoke to some Chinese people about, you prefer this lighter skin. And she's speaking to some of the black folks where they were explaining back in Jamaica where they're from, that you see a lot of, it's unbelievable amount of skin bleaching. So in India, the amount of skin bleaching, whereas say in some countries, well, there's tanning cream, but they prefer obviously the total opposite of that, to bleach the skin. So when growing up in well, Tobago was less Indians, like you said, but when you go to the mainland, did you notice a caste system amongst these Indians, or was it the fact that because they came through the indentured labourer, that they were kind of not a part of that?
Well, they had class. They had different classes by the names.
Right.
You heard it from like the Punjabis, you know, the Maharaj. There was classes of people, and depending on the classes, they were lighter than the what they call the Douglas.
Yeah.
Right. The Douglas, what we call as a Douglas. The Douglas is they're dark.
Yeah.
Right. They were more darker. They had more blacks in them, in other words. So the light skin East Indians, they had a different name. They had the Punjabis, the Maharaj, I mean, like things like that. But beside that is like, those are the people that say, well, like they had money, but it was just class. They were just a class. They were just as poor as anybody else too.
Yeah.
It
So
was society.
but these like with the British at the time, bringing them, and obviously they always separate classes anyway. So would these be like the overseers of how can I put it? Like say like you've got the people doing the indentured labor, the dark skinned ones. Would they be like the overseers, the way in the slave trade?
They were not slave. They were not slave.
No. I mean, no. I was comparing it like you see, like in the slave trade, where they have the house Negro and then they have the field Negro, kind of like the overseer. Was this the same with the indentured laborers? Like they'd have overseers who are higher caste.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because the darker ones, those are the ones that work in the cane field.
Yeah.
All right, those are the ones that they call Douglas. I mean, they were dark Indians.
Yeah.
And they used to call them coolies.
Coolies, yeah.
Coolies, and the reason why they call them coolies, they used to carry the load on their heads. They didn't wear shoes on their feet. They came from a long way. A long way. When I growing up with Indians like that, East Indians, they used to walk bare feet. They call them coolies. They carry the load on their head. The women were more the men's slaves then. They'll walk with the pail of milk on their head, and they'll do everything for that man. Everything. They'll go and sleep with another person in order for a man to get a job. And things like that. So the woman always, they had her like a subservient, to the man. But the light ones, as I said before, you heard about Nicki Minaj, right?
Yeah.
Well, Nicki Minaj is not Minaj, it's Nicki Mirage.
Okay, Mirage.
Okay, Nicki Mirage.
She got Indian in her?
Of course, she's not a coolie girl.
Oh, I didn't know. I mean, now I look at her like, she.
Well, all that thing they blow up. She buns and all that stuff. There's a what they call that pillow. Her name is Nicki Mirage.
Yeah.
Right. So she's like the third down from the society, because you have the Punjabis, right? The Punjabis are the ones that are way up here, and they come by the time she comes down here, she's on the third level, brother.
Yeah. So you still see the result of these castes today in Trinidad?
Of course, it's prevalent now. It's more prevalent now because we have a prime minister who is a Indian.
Yeah.
And she walking around saying, well, at least she have her ancestors' name, but we don't have none of that. You understand what she's telling black people in thing, right? So that's the people who don't know.
Well, in Guyana, they have the presence of Indian as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Wow. So even would you say Guyana is more Indianized than even Trinidad? Would you say?
No, Trinidad, a lot of Indians.
Yeah, a lot of Indians.
A lot of Indians. What you have to go to like Caroni, you have to go to Chaguanas, you have to go to the southern part of Trinidad. You see a few in Arima and things like that, but you want to see some Indians from Caroni all the way back to San Fernando. Wow. Indians, because that was the cane fields.
Yeah.
And they lived in the cane fields. So when they stopped planting cane, a lot of these Indians occupy the land.
Yeah.
They'll be all on the highway selling stuff. The kids and things like that, like all San Fernando, Princeton, Miaro, all them places. You see a lot of Indians.
Wow. Yeah.
Because they work in the cane field and the oil field.
So your own background, from I heard you say before, did you have a grandmother that was white? Did you say?
Yeah.
When you say white, mother, are we talking white like English or white like light skin? When you say white?
She had light skin. She had the hair. Not. She was more soft, right? But it wasn't as dropping down, but she had all the features and everything.
Yeah, so
You know
light
what I mean?
skin, so not actually white, like white, full white.
She was mixed. You could see
Mixed.
she was mixed. She was mixed, but she took more on the white side, like Carol's mother. Carol's mother could have passed like a white woman.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Although her father, well, your great grandfather was a Mexican, Carol, something like that. Your grandfather was a Mexican or something like that. Or
Oh, your microphone, Carlo. You need your microphone on.
yes, your grandfather was.
Okay, he was white. My grandfather.
Let me give him his
Oh, was he
medicine.
white?
My mother's father.
Fine.
Was white, yeah.
Yeah.
Where was he born? Was he? Did you say Mexico or did you say America?
I saw them together in Mexico. I don't know.
We had
Since a
pictures.
lot of that history, I don't know. I have a picture of
Mm.
him with
He had
my
it all over his shoulders.
Now, when we say white, I was just saying to Errol before, white
That's
is in
English white. Like
English
that.
white, like that. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, not light skinned. Yeah.
No.
Okay,
English.
okay, right.
Caucasian. They call him a Caucasian.
Caucasian. That's it. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, because it's interesting. Some people like you never know.
Somebody, hold on a minute. Let me.
You never know who's got something in them. There's so many different mixes and that, you know. Someone at your door.
No. Somebody come, but we could talk. You go ahead.
Yeah. So your own mix in yourself, yeah, from what you know, from your mum's side to your father's side. So let's start with your father, yeah.
Yes.
I know you mentioned about Indian, but like from what you know or from what he's told you, did you get to meet your grandparents from your father's side or?
No. All I have right now is a picture.
Oh, you have a picture?
Yeah, I have a picture.
Give Yaakov the keys to the truck. I gotta move it.
Yeah, look, Yaakov, look here. Yes. Yes. I have is a picture. When I was supposed to meet my grandmother in 1963, 64.
Yeah.
And she died. They killed her because
I got to walk out.
Okay, babe. Because her grandmother,
Okay.
My grandmother, and they had gold mine in Guyana.
Yeah.
In a place called Sand Hill in Guyana.
Yeah.
And I remember the government used to send royalties to my dad, your great grandfather.
Yeah.
And every month. And what happened to my grandmother, your great grandmother then? Her name is Pearline, right?
Yeah.
What happened with her? She told my dad, our dad, that they're trying to fight her for the property. But what the guy that I spoke to here, he told me that there's a Estridge is a big time politician, and he's related to us, but they don't want to meet me. You know what I mean? And I have a few relatives in New York, and my friend told me about them. He told them about me, but they don't want to. The keys to the truck. Look over there. Look over there. The black keys. Yeah, they didn't want to. You got it? Yes, that's it. So they didn't want to meet me, and they think well I want to think. But I asked your grandfather Everett, right?
Yeah.
About it. He told me all that. I told him he said it's true. He knew about that, right? He said, but he didn't want anything to do with it because he can't bring back his grandmother. He can't bring. So he knew more than I did. But I wanted to speak to him in more detail, but he didn't want to. Share a lot with me. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to meet my other relatives there. And he didn't want that to happen. Now only Diane, your mom, and Everett, his son. Those are the only two I met.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But besides, I wanted to meet them because I always say, well, I know my father was an only child, but I know he didn't just fall off of a tree and roll down on the ground. Right.
Yeah.
So this is what caused me to travel. I traveled to meet your grandfather. I traveled to know more about the Estridges and things like that. And by me doing that, it kind of intrigued me in a lot of ways. So yeah,
I used to ask him a lot of questions, and it was hard was like getting blood out of a stone to get for him to answer questions and that. So, but I was a person because I kept on coming back, firing more questions. I'd start extracting bits of answers. That's just down to my character. I'm always, inquisitive to know me history, know our history. That's basically it. So I got like little fragments out of him, but I was able to put like it together in like a bit of a jigsaw. Asked him about his lineage. So I've seen a picture of his father, your father.
Yeah.
I seen a picture of Pauline Ford, which was that would be your grandmother, wouldn't it? My great grandmother.
Yeah,
but I'd never ever seen a picture of your grandfather.
Your grandfather. We had one picture in Tobago that I saw of him.
Have you got it still?
No. And
how would you describe him? What he looked
like? He was a short guy. He looked like he was like a big shot. Then it's like how he wore khaki uniforms, and like how the cops they wear that type of cap. He had one of that. So he looked like he was a guy of prestige. His name was.
What was his lineage like? If you looked at him, how would you describe?
He looked more Indian mixed.
Indian mixed.
Yes.
Mixed with black, mixed with.
He looked like one of those indigenous kind of people.
Yeah.
He looked more like that, and he was short. And that picture used to be on the wall in the house when I was growing up. But we went through storms and things like that. A lot of things got destroyed and things like that. But that is what I saw. You know what I mean?
You know what, right? When I was out in Guyana, a friend of ours was telling us that if I want to know a bit more about me family lineage, I told him about the Fords, I told him about the Estridges. He said, go to the registry office in Guyana. And I didn't actually do it in that, but I was wondering if it was to go, could you can get information through the name, but could you reckon have photographs in the registry office?
I'm not sure if you can. They probably, what this guy told me? He said, when I first met him, he told me he wanted to introduce me to a person that will tell me everything about my parents, my grandparents, and my dad and that side of the family. And when I was supposed to meet her, she died. Before I met her, she died.
Right.
But he told me that the next place, there is a guy in the funeral home in Guyana. And I had called the guy. I had called him. I was kind of making contact with him and things like that, but it kind of just fizzed away. Because at that point, now I come and met Everett. Because I met this guy, his name is Raymond. I met Raymond before I met Everett.
Yeah.
So it kind of fizzed away because my thing was to meet my brother, because I was about 5 years old when my great grandfather called me and said, "You have a brother?" I said, "No, I have no brother. I have two brothers." He said, "No, you have another brother named Everett." I said, "No," and that what pushed me to start traveling.
Is that your great grandfather that told you about
your great grandfather?
Oh, okay, your father. Oh, okay.
Yes,
so he explained to you.
Yeah, great grandfather is what told me that I was about 5 years old, and that caused me to go.
Did your father go back to Guyana, or did he stay in Trinidad?
He stayed in Trinidad when the government sent him from Guyana to start building bridges.
Right, okay, yeah.
The bridges, all the bridges, the majority of bridges, I could say 99% of the bridges in Tobago, he did. Yes, the extension of the wharf.
Yeah.
Where the boat comes in, he did all of that.
Wow.
The lighthouse in Tobago, he did that.
Wow, unbelievable.
The Corlan Bridge, the Corlan River, Monks and George water treatment plant, all of that stuff.
Wow.
I'm gonna see if I find a picture and send it to you. He was short though.
Yeah.
He was short. I will see if I find a picture and send
it. Is this your father or your granddad? You're talking about who's short?
My dad, which is your great grandfather.
Right. Was he a short? Yeah.
Short. He was short.
Right, because the Estridges, a lot of them are very short as well. Funny enough, yeah. So that's quite interesting, and that's where it must come from.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah, the genes state. But you're very tall, you
Yes, I
know.
am. My grandfather was a tall man. And
Right.
big feet. I would size 12,
Yeah.
15 feet. Yeah, you could not buy. He used to buy shoes from England.
Yeah.
Leonard Mail Ordering Store.
Wow.
You ever heard of that place?
Leonard.
Leonard Mail Ordering Store. That where he used to buy all his clothes, everything from England.
I'm not too good sometimes with name stuff and that. I know a
Yeah,
lot of names, but I've not actually heard of that one though. Yeah.
yes. All
Wow.
his shoes, all his suits came from England because he was
Mm.
tall and he was big. They couldn't find shoes in those days. The biggest shoes that he may have is a
Yeah.
10 or so. But anytime you go to 12 and 13 and 14, you couldn't find shoes like that. You could
Yeah.
find it now, so
Mm.
that's what he used to do. It was a
Wow.
brilliant man. It was a brilliant man, Nathaniel Abdul McNeil.
Wow.
And brilliant man. He a lot of wisdom here, a lot of wisdom.
Have you ever been to Guyana yourself?
Never have.
Would you ever think about going? If you had one time from Trinidad, so close, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll fly from here too because
Yeah.
it'll be cheap. Because to go to Trinidad is just like going to Guyana from here.
Yeah.
$500.
I'll go direct. You can go direct to Guyana.
Yeah, I could go to
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, so because most flights come from America and then go to Trinidad and then go to Guyana.
Very nice place. I really enjoyed Guyana.
You did?
Yeah. Like very different. Something. See, like when people go to Jamaica or possibly even Trinidad, and it's more there's a lot more violence that goes on. It's not saying there's nothing. No, of course, there's violence going on everywhere. But in Guyana, there wasn't one single problem I could think of. I didn't even see one fight.
Thank God.
And we were kind of moving around. And so, like I say, I got good results from Guyana. I mean, if you ever fancy taking a trip there, it'd definitely be good.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think at one of these days, this guy wanted me to go with him, Ray. He's supposed to go down there. So I'm waiting to see what's going to happen, what does transpire with that.
Yeah.
But I definitely like to go. I definitely like to go. I like to travel.
Yeah.
I like to travel and things like that. So
yeah, I wouldn't mind like checking out the registry office. Probably, I don't know how difficult it'd be to do it from over here, but maybe it'd be easier to do it in Guyana itself.
well, we could probably look and see. I probably might throw something out there and see if we could get information. Probably talk to Ray and see how to go about that, the registry, and get from there because you have a lot. I have a book of Estridges here.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I have a book of Estridges. And I didn't see none from Guyana.
Okay.
I didn't see none from Guyana. So, but I saw from Canada, England, Scotland, places like that. The Eastern thing, and they come out. They call that Eastern people. The Eastern people. So that is basically what I know. But I didn't see none from Guyana. I didn't see none from Trinidad. Now we're finding out there's Estridge in Trinidad and Tobago beside us. And they ask me, who is, what I mean? And when I tell them who I am and things like that, they say, oh, okay.
Well,
Did you have family in Guyana?
Well, there's an interesting thing. Have you heard of the ancestry DNA testing?
Yeah, you were telling me about it.
Yeah, you should do them because not only does it tell you what you got in you, it tells your relatives come up. So it starts with your first cousins or anyone, your uncle, all your closest relatives come up. Because when I did mine, I seen about 8 different 8th cousin, 7th cousin, 6th cousin, 5th cousin, 4th cousin, and you can message them. You can, and obviously if they want to communicate with you back, you can communicate. But the amount of different people, like when I looked at it, like I've got some family in America, I've got some family in the Caribbean, I've got some family in Africa, I've got some family in Europe, it's just all over the place where the family are. So I look for the closest relatives, and then I'll usually give them a message, to see, oh, what's the story here?
Yes.
And there was actually a lady called Jenny Lind. I'll have to actually introduce you. She said you've related to us. And like I said, but she can't understand how. Do you know what I mean? So we've tried to get different people to do DNA testing, and we all show up as relatives, kind of thing. So it is an interesting thing. You never know who will come up on your lineage. You know, could be a cousin there, uncle. Well, you know, anyone who's still alive and that. So I'd recommend you 23andMe, or you've got one called Ancestry.com.
Okay.
Yeah, my mum did Ancestry. No, actually, no, my mum did 23andMe.
23andMe. Okay.
That's an American company, so you get it quicker than what I had to wait weeks.
Okay.
You know, stuff like that. You know, is Carol due to come back on?
No, we're going to the. Carol, you're going to come back on now? She said she's coming.
Yeah, and then because I know you're meeting soon.
Yes. Come on, babe. Says she comes.
That's it. Get your final words, and you know, before we finish off, and you go to your meeting now.
Yes.
So yeah, 23andMe. You look out for that company, and you'll get it cheaper than what we get it because you're over in the US.
Yes.
You right, Carol?
Yes.
Before we get you back on, before we finish up.
All right.
Yeah. So okay. So growing up in America as a whole, you know, from outsiders' points of view, we hear about a lot of violence in America. You know, gun crime, and there's a lot of. How have you found it growing up yourself? Obviously you mentioned about the white violence, but at the same time, you know, when they speak about the ghettos, where that's all the guns and the drugs are put in these places. You know, we don't know no gun factories, and we don't know poppy field. We don't know no coca plants, but they seem to be in our neighborhood. Yeah.
But they don't have them in the neighborhood where you can see them. What you can see is the alcohol is most prevalent.
That's a nice one.
The drugs, now that they done made marijuana legal, you're gonna run into it on the street because it'll overwhelm you before you get to it.
Yeah.
The gang stuff was more prevalent than it is now. It's more kind of subdued. Not that it's gone. It's just subdued a lot.
Right.
A lot of black-white marriages.
Yeah, okay.
Lots of that. And homosexuality is big now here. They always pushing their way with that.
Yeah. And what does my head with that? To use Black Lives Matter to try and align them together. Like what we go through with racism is the same with what they go through, where it's not at all the same. And then when they use us, and then what happens is Black Lives Matter and our concerns go down, theirs goes up, and then they forget about who they were trying to look like they were aligning with. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just a big sin. It's a big sin, and at the end of the day, I'm not thinking I want to harm them physically or nothing like that, but just stay out my way. You know, that's the way I am. You know, I speak out, and like I think as well, like as people worry about in your job, you know, because inventing all these things like transgender stuff, you can't say he or the she, and it's madness.
Crazy with that. The they, the them, the he, the she.
It's
I want to say the it, but then, you know, we help on somebody's toes if you do that.
Yeah, it's more confusing than anything. You know,
of course.
It is. It's at the end of the day, as you say, we have Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. You know, that's it, isn't it? You know. So,
yeah. You have no idea how big that thing is.
Ain't no big deal.
It's a mess.
Once they're in touch with, I'm fine. I talk to all of them. Ain't no big deal.
We had one transgender that came to live here because we have
Jesus.
apartments here. And this woman that we've known for a while, she's Trinidadian.
Yeah.
She came and asked us about her son having somewhere to stay with his significant other.
Yeah.
So we didn't argue because we didn't know nothing. And we can't be blatant prejudice and boisterous.
Yeah.
Because God don't want that out of us. Although sometimes you want to say stuff that's gonna come.
You can't.
But do you need
what happened
healing?
with that?
You need heal. They definitely need healing, and that's
You
one
telling
thing.
me he needs more healing because he transgender, and
Oh,
then the mother, she wasn't sure whether it was true or not. Believe me, she's true Trinidadian.
wow.
Cause she just
Well,
walked
yeah.
up to that boy, and out here in the driveway,
Tell him
and
what,
wanted to
what's
know.
her
And she
name?
just reached down in his crotch and grabbed hold.
And grab hold and she jumped. She did.
She just
reached
reached and
inside and
grabbed him
touched.
just like that. She wanted to know.
She wanted to know, and she did.
And
Yeah.
she did the thing that look, both of us had to go in different directions.
Yeah,
But
we had to
nothing we
hide
could
and
say.
laugh. She's
What?
serious. She
Good
reached
deal.
into the man's crotch and pulled it. You hear me? Serious. But when I met the person, right? I said, I introduced him. I said, what's the name? She said, my name is Porsche. I said, Porsche, Porsche or Porsche? She said, no, Porsche.
Yeah, look.
It looked like a girl. I tell
Yeah.
you, everything.
Yeah, it's too many, too much of it going on now in the world where it's a deep worry for the younger generations.
Well, it's a lot of stuff, even in kindergarten stuff they starting children.
Yeah, they're teaching them.
Yeah, it's just absolutely sick, and people have to take the kids out of the schools and homeschool them, and you know that's how serious it is. Some parents, like I say, they just go along with the program. They just think, just get your kid educated. You've got to go to school. Maybe they've got to go to work and this and that.
I'm like this about that whole thing. I don't have to know what you're doing in your business.
Yeah.
Not my business. I'm not trying to correct it or dispel it.
Yeah.
You do what you want to do. But when it comes to this little piece of dirt I stand on, just don't crowd me in that.
Exactly.
I'm all right. You can be in the same space with me. We can talk about it. All of that.
Yeah.
But that.
Don't bring you into this. That's right.
Well, I can't say that because while I was working at the college, and the girl that came to be the director of the building where I was working, she had just gotten a position because I had been waiting because we knew they were gonna hire somebody.
Yeah.
And while I'm sitting there waiting, she came to let me know she had gotten a position. I was happy for her. But the spirit had told me before I even got to her that I was gonna like her. So I was like, oh, okay. Not questioning that this piece was gonna show up.
Yeah.
So when she came, she introduced herself and proceeded to tell me that she was gay. I said, oh, okay, first time. So I walked away because I had said, okay, it didn't matter one way or the other. They had hired her.
Yeah, yeah.
So that passed and she come back again because she wanted to tell all the students at Wellesley that she was gay. And asked me, what did I think? I said, well, if you do that, you're going to lose half of the class.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I knew that the students all had different preferences and opinions and all that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't trying to dictate it one way or the other. She came back that last time. I quoted scripture so quick it scared me almost. I said, well, the Bible say hate the sin and love the sinner.
But she was a wonderful woman.
Yeah, she was an awesome person. And I did like her. And anything that I needed, she would make it her business to make sure I got it, regardless of money, whatever it was. But she introduced herself and announced it. I said, okay.
Yeah.
It's all right with me if it's all right with you.
Let me ask you something. Go ahead.
There's an interesting thing you mentioned before, Carl, about in Louisiana, about voodoo going on. Is this like I know in Haiti where the Africans had the Vodun, which the traditions, and then they had to disguise it in Catholicism. Is when you say voodoo, is this like where's it came from? Is this like originally from Africa, and they've had to disguise it, or is this some other different type of voodoo?
You know what's interesting to me with that? Because I don't really know a lot. I've seen it since I've been an adult. I knew of it as young. But what's interesting about that, here in this place, more white practice that than blacks.
Yeah, yeah.
They have honed that in and all kinds of stuff. But from what I'm gathering, they make it sound like more blacks.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
the Bible talk about divination, so it went on
yeah.
in biblical time for sure. So
Mm,
the origin of it is, I think it's above what I know, but
yeah.
it's out there. By the way, I was telling you last time about this book called Buying into Whiteness. I couldn't think of the name of it. I got it from down in with the books we have.
Yeah.
And if I get the author off, it's upstairs. But the name of it is Buying into Whiteness.
You have it up here?
Buying
Yeah,
into
so
whiteness.
over by the TV.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting book. It tell you where it originated from and how.
Okay. So,
But it's the bishop can tell you the author. It's upstairs with him. It's called Buying into White.
is this Jordan? Was this a time period during the slave trade where you had people trying to, because there was so much self-hate through the
I
slave
think it was
master?
all before that.
Oh, even going before that.
Yeah, all back to England and all.
Yeah, it says race, culture, and identity from Columbus to hip hop.
Okay, right. So Columbus was
Hold it up so he
1492.
can see what the book look like. And it's called Buying into Whiteness. Come to your left, to your, yeah, a little bit.
Buying
Now,
into whiteness. So the deal
who's
with
the
Columbus in 1492, Columbus came to America. So 1491, he expelled the Moors from Spain,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them got expelled from like Portugal, and so that was really a big beginning of a transition of removing black people from Europe, who one time ruled Europe, civilized Europe, brought in baths, soap, brought in a lot of things that what they didn't have. So all credit to the Moors, and we get told a whole nother story,
It's a lot to it.
Yeah, but this being a brilliant discussion, we're probably due. It'll go off in a few minutes, and if there's anything that you want to finish off with before we finish up.
I wanted to find out, did you try any other thing besides Zoom?
No, I haven't actually. There's something called Microsoft Teams, but I've always
Yes,
been using
Teams.
Zooms.
You can do WhatsApp too.
Oh, I'm recording.
Yeah, I think so.
It records you.
Right,
Yes,
okay.
true.
Now,
Check it out. Yeah.
on my computer, because I use my computer, you see, I'm not actually on my phone. So I'm not sure how that works with the WhatsApp on the phone.
Yeah, you can.
Same
You can.
thing.
It's
Yeah,
the
we
same
do.
thing.
We use it for church every Sunday.
We do.
Okay, right.
We use it.
Just
We
look
use it.
into it.
I'll look into it. I'll probably have to research it, to be honest, because on my computer, I don't know how to get WhatsApps and up or not. But I'll have a little research.
Go on what they call it, Microsoft, no, what they call it, Google Chrome,
Yeah.
what they call it, the App Store.
App stores, yeah.
The App Store. Look at the App Store. What kind of computer you have?
It's actually an old Mac, where it's actually
A Mac. Don't know old Mac. Why you use
That's
Mac?
what
Mac
he's
is good.
using is a Mac.
it's an old style where I have problem trying to download stuff because I can't get the latest version of it.
Well, how old is it?
I'd say 2010, I think. I was quite old.
Let me tell you something. Check this out. You get you an external hard drive, and plug it in on the side.
Yeah, I think best get a new computer. That's what, but it's not really the greatest features that are on it.
Your uncle build them from scratch, honey.
Yeah,
Why you telling
yeah,
him that?
yeah.
Errol build those computers from scratch.
Mm.
I used to work in the company that made them, so he ain't telling you something new. I introduced him to the first Mac.
That's why I do. See,
I used to build them from scratch too, so.
Yeah.
That's why I do.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my next thing. I need to get a new computer anyway because it's got a better camera on the updated ones. And as I'm doing Zooms, I'm speaking to people worldwide. Got to update the tech.
Well, I gotta leave, y'all.
But you using a Mac right now to talk?
Yeah, using a Mac right now.
Well, that's good. Just use it. It's still good.
That's it. But thanks for coming today anyway. I know Carol had to go. Errol, thank you very much. Appreciate James the Bone discovered and dedicate to original peoples. Give thanks, and we'll do this again. We may maybe do another group discussion with some of the other guests that were on last time, and get I like to mix it up a little bit. So, give thanks anyway.
Thank you.
Peace, brother. Peace, uncle.
Thanks for having us.